Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. I'm back with another look at the top 10 PSA baseball card sales on eBay for cards from the 1980s. With Rickey Henderson passing away at the end of December, it's no surprise that a few of his cards made the top 10 list for January. Beyond that, there's a good range of cards that made the top 10 list for this month, so let's go take a look. At number 10, we have this 1985 Topps Tiffany Eric Davis in a PSA 10. This one sold on January 6th for $2,400. It was a best offer. The current VCP average price for a PSA 10 is $2,025. The record high sale was $3,400 back in February of 2021 through eBay. There have been 226 copies graded a PSA 9. Only 38 have been graded a PSA 10. At number 9, we have this 1987 Leaf Bo Jackson in a PSA 10. This one sold on January 13th for $2,649. It was an auction. There were 31 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 10 is $1,795. The record high sale was $3,069 back in November of 2023 through eBay. There have been 277 copies graded a PSA 9. 107 have been graded a PSA 10. Now, there was one other 1987 Leaf Bo Jackson sale in January. Another PSA 10 copy sold on January 29th for $2,363. At number 8, we have this 1980 Topps Rickey Henderson in a PSA 9. This one sold on January 24th for $2,750. It was a buy it now. The current VCP average price for a PSA 9 is $1,885. The record high sale, though, was $6,000 back in February of 2021 through eBay. There have been 2,241 copies graded a PSA 9. Only 25 have been graded a PSA 10. Now, there were 4 other significant 1980 Topps Rickey Henderson rookie card sales in January, all of them PSA 9 copies. The first one sold on January 2nd for $2,500. Another copy sold on January 3rd for $2,400. Another copy sold on January 2nd for $2,350, and a fourth copy sold on January 17th for $2,259. At number 7, we have this 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. in a PSA 10. This one sold on January 30th for $2,750. It was an auction. There were 41 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 10 is $2,457. The record high sale was $6,600 back in February of 2021 through a PWCC listing on eBay. There have been 32,000 copies graded a PSA 9 and 4,186 copies graded a PSA 10. There were 4 other significant 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. sales in January. Of course, all of them PSA 10 copies. One sold on January 25th for $2,671. Another copy also on January 25th for $2,655. A third copy sold on January 30th for $2,650. And finally, a copy sold on January 7th for $2,627. At number 6, we have this 1986 O-Pee-Chee Tony Gwynn in a PSA 10. This one sold on January 19th for $3,750. It was a best offer. The current VCP average price is not applicable. This sale was not in VCP's database, as this is the only recorded sale of a PSA 10 copy. Looks like on the slab it would be a newly graded copy. There have been 20 graded a PSA 9. This is the only copy to have been graded a PSA 10. At number 5, we have this 1983 Topps Tony Gwynn in a PSA 10. This one sold on January 22nd for $3,350. It was a best offer. The current VCP average price for a PSA 10 is $3,410. The record high sale was $4,750 back in February of 2021 through a PWCC listing on eBay. There have been 6,044 copies graded a PSA 9. 741 have been graded a PSA 10. At number 4, we have this 1984 Donruss Don Mattingly in a PSA 10. This one sold on January 19th for $3,500. It was an auction. There were 42 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 10 is $3,395. The record high sale was $6,500 back in March of 2021 through eBay. There have been 3,734 copies graded a PSA 9. About 10% of that, 336, have been graded a PSA 10. Now, there were 2 other significant 1984 Donruss Don Mattingly sales in January, both PSA 10 copies. One sold on January 24th for $3,495, and a second copy sold on January 20th for $3,383. At number 3, we have this 1981 O-Pee-Chee Rickey Henderson, the grayback version in a PSA 9. This one sold on January 16th for $3,500. It was a best offer. The current VCP average price for a PSA 9 is $2,850. This sale here at $3,500 represents a new record high sale for a PSA 9 copy. The previous high was $2,200 back in June of 2024 through eBay. There have only been 3 copies graded a PSA 9, and none have been graded a PSA 10. At number 2 is the regular 1981 Topps Rickey Henderson, this one in a PSA 10. This one sold on January 9th for $3,551. It was an auction. There were 38 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 10 is $3,408. The record high sale was $3,985 back in August of last year through eBay. There have been 1,106 copies graded a PSA 9. Only 102 have been graded a PSA 10. And at the number 1 spot for January 2025, this 1982 Topps traded Cal Ripken Jr. in a PSA 10. This one sold on January 19th for $6,425. It was an auction. There were 106 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 10 is $5,717. The record high sale, though, was $20,101 back in February of 2021 through a PWCC listing on eBay. There have been 4,498 copies graded a PSA 9. Again, about 10% of that, 417, have been graded a PSA 10. There you go, the top 10 PSA baseball card sales on eBay for cards from the 1980s for January 2025. As always, would love to know in the comments what you think about the cards that made this month's top 10 list. And with that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.